Hello, everybody. Let's talk about how to obtain permanent residency as an international student in Canada. Today, I will try to review a few options, and then we also open the floor for your questions. If you have any questions, just make sure to post them under the questions section, and we will answer them as quickly as possible. So many people are now joining us. Okay. Okay. So let's first begin with the land acknowledgement. We at Parsai Immigration Services Headquarters acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by the Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. My name is Al Parsai. I hold a Master of Laws from York University. I also hold a master's degree in counseling psychology. I'm an RCIC-IRB. It means that my license is an unrestricted license. I can represent clients to IRCC, the Immigration Refugee Board of Canada, Canada Border Services Agency, and ESDC, or Employment and Social Development Canada, under the immigration law. I have been licensed since January 17th, 2011. It means that I have more than 11 years under my belt as experience. Our business, Parsai Immigration Services, is located in downtown Toronto at Sheraton Centre, Toronto, just next to City Hall. We are at the financial district of Toronto. I'm an adjunct professor at Queen's University. I teach immigration courses at Queen's Law School. I've been an instructor and faculty member of Ashton College since October 2016. Ashton College is located in Vancouver. I teach all their courses online. Our business has had clients from 55 countries. I'm the author of 88 Tips on Immigration to Canada, which has repeatedly been considered as a bestseller book under the immigration law by Amazon.ca. I have written more than 1,300 articles about the immigration subject, and of course, I have taught courses to other immigration consultants and lawyers, which many of those programs have been approved by ICCRC and CICC and other organizations. In fact, right after this, I'm teaching a CPD course through Ashton College for practitioners. So the topics that we'll try to cover today are related to federal options that you have as an international student in Canada and provincial options. Again, if you have any questions, you can post your questions under the section for questions, and I will answer them when we are done. I try to limit this presentation to about 20 minutes or maybe 25 minutes, so we can focus on any questions you have. Okay, so in terms of express entry, it covers three major options: Canadian Experience Class, Federal Skilled Worker Class, and Federal Skilled Trades Class. If you are not familiar with any of these programs, I briefly explain them to you. Canadian Experience Class means that you have work experience under National Occupational Classification level A, B, or Type 0. And this you need to have at least 1 year of work experience in Canada or equivalent of 1 year of full-time work experience in Canada to qualify. You also need to give an English or French test, and your test result must be, depending on your job in Canada, must be CLB 5 or CLB 7 minimum. The reality is that because you enter the pool of express entry and there's huge competition over there, with the bare minimum, you cannot even consider yourself a candidate. An example would be the last draw that happened yesterday. The government invited 1,750 people, and the lowest CRS score under express entry was 541. That means that the people who were accepted, a typical person who was accepted, held a master's degree. They were aged between 25 to 30 years old, and they were IELTS 8 or higher. So that means that for other people, it's almost impossible to be selected. Now, this could change in the near future because the government had stopped invitations under express entry, and they just recently resumed with limited number of invitations. The first invitation was on July 6th. Only 1,500 people were invited. The second one was just yesterday, and only 1,750 people were invited. So this could change if they continue invitations, and the CRS scores will drop. Yet you need to have a job offer in Canada, worked in Canada for a while. Your IELTS or French test score needs to be significantly high so you can compete and be selected. Federal skilled worker class is another option under express entry. It is, however, very difficult to get into express entry through federal skilled worker class. Ironically, about 90% of the applicants under the express entry pool, they are applying under federal skilled worker class. You need to meet certain minimum requirements, like 1 year of full-time work or equivalent of full-time work, continuous equivalent full-time work. And also on top of that, they look into your education, your language abilities, etc. The difference between federal skilled worker class and Canadian experience class is that you do not need to have work experience in Canada to qualify for a federal skilled worker program. And federal skilled trades targets skilled trades like your welders, plumbers, electricians, and other people that they are active in skilled trades. All those jobs are NOC B, but there are certain options under NOC B that are acceptable for federal skilled trades. You also need to go through the same process for Canadian experience class and federal skilled worker. The difference is that usually a federal skilled trades applicant has receives less number of CRS score. And that's why traditionally IRCC used to hold 2 draws every year just dedicated to FSTC to invite this group to apply for immigration. Since COVID, that has stopped. And of course, that weakens the position of applicants under federal trades, unless they are highly educated and they are pretty much the same as a FSWC or CEC applicant. We also have the option of PNP. So sometimes you apply for express entry, but a province will select you. And if the province selects you, that means that you will be able to apply for immigration under the express entry. However, the selection by the province will enhance your number of points. So you'll receive an extra 600 points, up to 600 points because of the selection by the province, and that kind of guarantees your invitation to apply by the federal government. On top of the express entry system, we have some pilot programs like Caregiver pilot, Agri-Food pilot, and in the past we had TR to PR, or temporary resident to permanent resident for international students and essential workers. That has stopped. It was just a one-time shot for some people to become permanent residents. In fact, it was a mess, honestly, because some people who applied in the first few minutes, they are already permanent residents of Canada, but the rest of them, they just recently received their file numbers, or they have not even received their file numbers. So I don't think the government will again invite people under another TR to PR program. However, it is not 100% out of question, because they are heavily promoting that their intention is to make as many international students permanent residents as possible. So that's why I mentioned this here. Humanitarian and compassionate considerations means that you do not necessarily meet the requirements of any of these application options, or maybe because you are inadmissible to Canada. And in those situations, you can apply for permanent residence under humanitarian and compassionate considerations. If you are inside Canada, your application will go to an office in Vancouver. And after that, if everything goes well, you could become permanent resident of Canada. Unfortunately, the refusal rate under HNC applications is very high, about 50, depending on the year, anywhere between 30 to 70% of the applicants will be refused by the immigration authorities. And that's why we use this only as the last resort. They look into the hardship, they look into other issues like the best interest for a child, and other factors that could affect the decision of the officer. So we talked about, again, the details of express entry. You need to meet the minimum requirements for express entry. You need to have the financial requirements for the express entry. And also, you need to receive good points or CRS score, comprehensive ranking system score, to be able to compete with the rest of people who are in the pool of express entry. Right now, we have more than 220,000 people in the pool of express entry. And that means that the competition is immense. You enter the pool of express entry, you remain there for 1 year. And if they don't invite you to apply, unfortunately, your express entry profile will expire and you need to apply again. That's not a refusal. However, that means that you need to submit an application again. The other issue that you need to know, that there will be some changes to express entry. If you go on our website, settler.ca, and look at our news section, you will realize that the government intends to make some changes to the way that they handle express entry pool in 2023. So that will not affect the current pool. But in 2023, the government will select people regardless of their CRS score. So there is a chance that somebody will be selected not because because of the points that you have, but because of the merits of your application. For example, if they find out that they do not have enough welders, then they may select welders from the pool of applicants, even if a welder has only 200 points. So that could happen, which kind of defies the purpose of express entry. The reason that they wanted to express entry was to replace the old system that was based on jobs and occupation list. But it looks like that we are again going back to that era, and we could see some movements in that direction probably in 6 months or 9 months from now. So that's what we expect to happen, and we have the announcement. Somebody asked, what is the name of the website? Our website is settler.ca. Actually, if you look at the bottom of the slide, you see the name of our website or the address of our website. So the other option would be Caregiver pilot program. Again, you need to meet certain minimum requirements to apply. The big one is job offer. So a Canadian employer who needs somebody to take care of their children, or they need to take somebody to take care of their elderly, they need to give you a job offer. And then you also need to get the equivalency of your education, you need to have at least 1 year of post-secondary education, and you need to take the language test and have at least CLB5. If you meet all of those applications, then you could apply through CPC Edmonton, and then initially they will issue you an open work permit, and that open work permit will allow you to work in Canada for any employer, but only under the NOC code that you have been selected. So it could be NOC 4411 or 4412. And that's NOC 4411 is for home child care provider, excluding foster parents, and NOC 4412 means home support workers, excluding housekeeping work. And usually there's a huge demand for home child care provider. So for example, this year in the first few days of January, the cap reached, and they have stopped it. They will resume it next January. But with home support worker, usually it remains open for the most of the year. After receiving your open work permit, you come to Canada, and if you work for 2 years as a caregiver, then eventually you qualify to become apply for permanent residency and eventually become a permanent resident of Canada. So that's a good option. Some of the international students who are inside Canada, they eventually manage to become permanent residents through this caregiver pilot program, because they secure a job as a caregiver in Canada and eventually they can apply. So some of the other pilot programs, as I mentioned, Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot is one of them. So there are 11 communities in Canada. If you receive a job offer from an employer in any of those communities, then you could apply for permanent residence. In fact, you could even apply for a bridging open work permit later down the road if you receive your eligibility letter. And that's an amazing opportunity for people who receive job offers. Just be careful, because many people are trying to exploit you. You really need to get in touch with real employers and get real job offers. We have a group of actually articles we have for each community. We have introduced that community on our website. If you just visit settler.ca and look for Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot, you will see those articles. On top of that, I have explained this program in details up there. We also have the Agri-Food Pilot Program. This program is for people who are currently working in Canada for agri-food industry, but keep that in mind, this program does not cover a seasonal agricultural worker program. And again, just like Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot, you could become a permanent resident through this program. And as I mentioned, TR to PR was a one-time thing, but there is a slight chance that they will resume it. And for provincial options, Quebec has its own system. They have an agreement with the government of Canada called a Quebec Accord, and part of Quebec Accord is about immigration. And based on that, Quebec defines their own programs for immigration. If you qualify for any of those programs, then you can eventually immigrate to Canada. Majority of Quebec immigration programs are targeting people who know French very well, and they are francophones. Other provinces also offer some opportunities. For example, in province of Ontario, we have many options for international students. If you are a master's graduate or a PhD graduate, for example, you could apply for permanent residence through those streams, or for other international students, they could receive a job offer and apply. And also, if you're a francophone, you could apply. There are multiple options by different provinces, depending on your circumstances. Look into provincial options. If you go again on settler.ca, I have an article about provincial nominee program, and I have given the links to all those provinces. So you can actually go and see, visit the website of different provinces and see if you could potentially qualify for any province. But keep that in mind. Generally speaking, provinces target people who already live in their province. So if you are living in the province of British Columbia and you want to apply for the province of Saskatchewan, it is unlikely they will accept you. But give it a try. There are some exceptions down the road, and you could qualify for other provinces as well. So this is a list of options in Ontario. As you can see, there are multiple options. Employer job offer for foreign workers. Again, job offer for international students. In-demand skills stream, master's graduate stream, PhD graduate stream, and so on and so forth. If you visit their website, all the details are there. Just search for OINP. So OINP stands for Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program. If you look for OINP, you'll be able to find options that are potentially useful for you. So I kept my promise. I finished this in 20 minutes. If you have any questions, you may post those questions here and I will answer them accordingly. Just give me a second. And you may also, for our news channel, you may visit settler.news. Or for our articles, you may visit settler.info, or generally just visit settler.ca and you can find those options out there. So before I start answering questions, and please post your questions. Let me just stop this sharing here. And just share this page for a second while we are waiting for more questions to come. So this is the articles page, and you can look for anything you want here. For example, if I look for PNP, here is the article that I told you about. Provincial Nominee Program. If you scroll down, you will see the link to all the provinces. So all the provinces in Canada and all the territories offer immigration options. The only exception is Nunavut, that doesn't have any immigration programs, but the rest of them they have. So you can click any of them, and then by clicking them, you can see, for example, this is a BC option, and you can see the options that you potentially could have. And in terms of our news channel, if again you are on settler.ca, if you click news, you will see the news. And this one is about the latest draw that I talked to you about. And this one is about the changes to express entry that I told you. Our journalist, Andrea, collects this information every single day. She searches for the latest information and she posts articles about that to keep you up to date. You can also register to our news channel through Google News, or just when you're visiting our website, you can allow us to send you updates and you will be updated about the latest changes to the world of immigration. Okay, so let's go back to our questions. Okay, so the questions that we have here, the first one is from Ali. Hi, are there any options for undergraduate international students to get PR before or while completing their degree? So generally speaking, the answer is unfortunately no. Usually they prefer that you graduate and work in Canada to be able to secure a permanent resident position. It rarely happens. I mean, it could happen, but it rarely happens that somebody manages to become permanent resident before finishing their studies. Unless they, for example, in their back home, in their home country, they already were graduated and they were working and then they qualify for express entry anyways. There are no specific programs that I'm aware of that target students that are not graduated yet. So the next question is from Leo. How do I know which program apply to master graduate stream and how this program works? So basically, you're welcome, Ali. So basically, and the master's degree program is only for those people who are graduated from an Ontario government funded university. So we're talking about major universities in Ontario. If you hold a master's degree from one of those universities, like McMaster University, York University, University of Ottawa, University of Toronto, Waterloo University, Western University, those universities, if you hold a master's degree from any of those, then there is an expression of interest tool. You need to go on OINP website and you need to show your expression of interest. There is a point system. They calculate your points and then you compete with the other master's degree applicants. And if your points are good enough, they will invite you to apply. This application is directly through OINP. You do not apply through the express entry or anything else. And after receiving the invitation, you just submit your documents and you receive a certificate of nomination from the province. And then with the help of that certificate of nomination, you can apply for permanent residency through the federal government. It's a relatively lengthy process, but it's really good, especially if you are a master's graduate and you don't have job experience to apply under express entry. Keep that in mind. As master's graduates, you need to make sure that you hold you give IELTS test or CELPIP or TEFQ, and you need to be CLB 7 or higher. So it's important that you have enough number of points. There's a minimum requirement before you can even apply. So that also is a requirement. If you are a PhD graduate, the situation will be different. There is no requirement to show your IELTS test results. In British Columbia, we also have a master's stream, but they only accept graduates that are graduated from a university in British Columbia and also under certain programs. And those programs are mostly science and math programs. If you are graduate from one of those programs, the same situation, you just submit your application through BCP PNP online, and then there will be, based on the competition, there will invite you to apply and you can become permanent resident. That's of course a very brief description of this. It could be a lot more than that to it. Okay. Are there any other questions? If not, we can successfully wrap this session up. I have another session that will begin soon. Okay. So thank you very much for attending this session. If you have more questions, don't hesitate to contact us and we'll be more than happy to assess your circumstances. And if there is an opportunity for you, I'll let you know. Have a good day and bye.